Welcome to the Signal Leadership. My name is Hans Regis, CEO and founder of HR The Leader, a platform created to build leaders, transform organizations, and definitely ignite purpose. Today, in this segment, we're going to talk about a new concept that is going rampant in the healthcare industry: psychological safety. Guess what? Sadly, we didn't come up with it, but we can definitely use it now, and it's going in the right direction to make sure our healthcare field and work environment is becoming safer by the day. This concept came to life around 1999 by Dr. Amy Edmondson and has gradually been applied to different sectors and fields and trickled itself into healthcare in 2020. For those in healthcare, we know exactly what 2020 was about. And with every major chaos comes opportunity. So from the situations we've been to in 2020, still the big elephant in the room, COVID, there you go, I'll say it, created a whole new aspect and approach to healthcare. So psychological safety trickled itself into healthcare. What is psychological safety? Let's talk about it a little bit. My leadership definition of psychological safety is it's a shared belief that teams or a teammate or person feels safe to, one, take risks, share ideas, or ask questions, and raise safety concern without the fear of punishment, humiliation, or retaliation. It's about being free to engage without the fear of retaliation or retribution. But at any time when we do have those new concepts, there are a lot of myths or different ideas of what psychological safety is. Let's go ahead and talk about some of those. Myth number one is that psychological safety means no accountability. Wrong. The truth is, within psychological safety, we are not free to pass poor performances. True safety combines openness with standard. You can challenge ideas, but you are responsible for the outcomes. Trust me, if we're going to talk about psychological safety, once you raise the concern, we are forced to look into it. Psychological safety is equal to comfort. True, but safety doesn't mean easy. It often means having tough conversations, speaking truth to power, and confronting uncomfortable realities without fear of retribution. Since we're talking about tough conversation, let's dive into the other part. For some people, just to be a safe place is to feel that there is no more accountability when it comes to psychological safety, or for some of our leaders, once we deemed a place safe, I'm pretty sure we've done it, I've done it, this is a safe place, this is a safe place, this is a safe department, this is a safe space in my office. The fact that we claim a safe space, that doesn't mean it's actually safe. We all could actually attest to that. All right, so let's go back to some of those characteristics of psychological safety. How do you actually create a psychological safe environment? One is openness. People need to feel safe, empowered to voice ideas and concern without retribution. That nothing's gonna come out of this except to address the issues, bring a safe space, resolution, so this doesn't happen again. Another component of psychological safety is respect. We can't address issues in a disrespectful manner. We need to value everybody's differences and bring it to the table as a collective. We need to also be open to supportive feedback. We are here to address the issue. We are here to address the problem. We are here to find solutions, not to make it personal, not to attack the person itself. We need to make sure we create inclusivity. This goes back to respect. We need to make sure we are inclusive. At times, when we've seen this, The new grad may not feel as included or part of the culture or feel empowered to voice a concern when it comes to somebody else who's been there 15, 20 years. We need to be inclusive, and those go for leaders most of the time. We need to make sure we are open, respectful, supportive, inclusivity, definitely accountability with care. The word is with care. We are here to make sure the problem doesn't repeat itself. How do exactly we apply accountability, or we apply psychological safety into a workplace? Again, we talked about this. Just because we said this is a safe space before we open up a meeting, or we just flash those terms, psychological safety, we talk about it, but our reaction or action speaks completely against that. For leaders, how do you build psychological safe environment for your teams? One, you need to model vulnerability. For some leaders, being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. I'm gonna need y'all to change that. Being vulnerable as a leader is to make sure that you bring the humane side of leadership to life. That leaders make mistakes. We don't often get it right. And our staff, actually, when we make decisions for those closer to the problem than we are, they look at us like we are fools. How are we going to make decisions and we are far away removed from the problem, but yet when we get it wrong, we can't admit that we get it wrong? We need to be more vulnerable leaders. We need to react with curiosity, not know it all, or not getting ammunition to build a case against the person. Currently at my position, this is a new organization, a new field of practice. I tend to approach every conversation with those certain key phrases, and not just phrases, but it's for me to understand the concept before I even try to understand processes and try to come up with solutions. Help me understand. Please educate me. For my curiosity, I probably don't know, but. And those are genuine questions because I need to get to the root of why we are having a break in a process. So definitely leaders, we need to approach concept with curiosity, not to point blame or make a judgment call, but to truly understand the process. We keep talking about accountability. I already had a video on that. Another part of create psychologically safe environment is to make sure we create accountable behaviors for everybody. We also need to celebrate ideas and contribution, small or big. I'm gonna be very transparent. Some of us leaders, we tend to be biased. We're gonna send the ball, pass the ball to our top performers. We're gonna celebrate those that always make a contribution. But for little Paul, who the first time caught a safety near miss, tends to get shoved under the rug. We need to make sure we celebrate every ideas and contribution, big or small, and we need to protect the voice of the less heard in the room. This is where accountability needs to meet privacy. So we also leaders, when we are holding people accountable, we can't hold them accountable in expense of somebody else who brought up the situation. So we need to be very tactful leaders about building a psychologically safe environment. But guess what? Team members, you guys have some part to play too. You're always trying to blame the culture or the atmosphere of an organization one-sided. This is the leader's fault, that's the leader's job. No, y'all have some stuff to play in there too. For team members, how do you actually create or help promote a psychologically safe environment? Speak the truth with respect. A lot of y'all want to be blunt and want to hide disrespect by being blunt. I'm just going to speak my truth. I'm just going to tell it like it is. Nah, you could tell like it is and be respectful. Be willing to learn and receive feedback without being defensive. Because when a psychologically safe environment, it's not targeting each other. We are looking at a 6 and 9, But right there, we need to be able to agree to disagree, understand the concepts, and see how we could both come together to make this a better environment. So, team members, be willing to receive feedback without being defensive. It's not about you, it's about the process. Maybe you were too tired to realize you made a mistake. There's plenty of things that could happen, but we need to make sure we are willing to receive feedback without being defensive. We need to support one another, and we need to take ownership of the part that we play in the culture of creating a psychologically safe environment. Leaders, accountability, and ownership. Team members also have a part to play in being accountable and creating ownership. So, psychological safety, new trend in healthcare. It hasn't been with us for a long time, but it's not a new culture. It's not a new term. Like I said, it came to life around 1999 and finally trickled its way after COVID to healthcare, because trust me, COVID highlighted a lot of inefficiency and unsafe practices in healthcare. I am happy that we are transitioning into this safe space in healthcare. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Psychological safety is not about lowering standard. It's about raising courage. It's not about comfort, it's about growth. Psychological safety is not about lowering the standards. It's about raising courage. It's not about comfort, it's about growth. When leaders create an environment where the truth can be spoken, mistakes can be redeemed, and ideas can be tested, teams don't just survive, they thrive. That's the last thought. A lot of our workplaces, we do have safety, quality and safety teams. Here's my question to you. What if the next case that's being studied in the next few weeks is yours, or a case of a loved one's that was harmed because somebody felt unsafe to raise their hand and question a practice, question a mistake because of fear of retaliation? Let that marinate and to see the importance of having a psychologically safe workplace. Again, my name is Hans Regis. This is Leadership with Hans, and I am the CEO and founder of HR The Leader, a movement created to transform organizations, build leaders, and ignite purposes. See you next time.